Breaking news, everyone! After a lifetime of exploiting his workers in retail stores across the US, as well as factory workers across the globe, Yvon Chouinard has declared that extractive capitalism is bad. If you haven't been paying attention to Patagonia's social media, because I don't know why you would want to unless you're a feminist killjoy looking for content to talk about. So Patagonia is at it again with its expert level greenwashed marketing. They've recently started a series called Fan Mail, where charismatic office employees respond to valid critiques with really vague bullshit. In one of the episodes, one of the employees claims that they're rooted in capitalism and also anti-capitalism because of all the environmental stuff that they care about.
How is a global for-profit company that runs on people buying stuff really going to save the home planet? Is growth of consumer products really what we need? The answer to the second question is no.
TBD, right? Patagonia is an experiment, and I think this is the question that we're trying to answer.
Everything we do here is about capitalism, and at the same time, we're anti-capitalism in the sense of we need to take care of the environment, save the planet, all that stuff.
We're not trying to drive sales at all cost.
Huh? That's like just not how it works, actually. You can't be both. Capitalism requires extracting wealth and resources from the land and humans. They also released a so-called quote-unquote progress report in which they're sharing this as a way to hold themselves accountable for all the promises that Yvon Chouinard made when he supposedly quote-unquote gave away his company to climate change back in 2022. And so this is their idea of sharing with their customers that they're trying to stay true to their promise. And they're, they have this whole thing written about how it's really hard actually when Earth is your boss. And it's just, again, a bunch of vague greenwashed bullshit. On the same page of their progress report, they say hey, sign up for our emails. Type in your email and you'll get the progress report delivered to your inbox. And I signed up because I want to know what this progress report says. And nothing came in my email. All that came was a welcome to being subscribed to Patagonia's email. So is the progress report the thing that I read on their website? Because that is not an in-depth progress report. There are no numbers. There are no facts. There's no research linked to it. It's just a bunch of word salad from Patagonia's marketing team and public relations team. So yeah, the results, according to that, the progress report that's on their website, are really just bland and reheated nonsense from the years that Patagonia has been using the same pseudo-progressive speak advertising. For example, in Chouinard's letter, because he wrote a letter recently for this progress report, he wrote, quote, "If enough companies join together and decide our planet takes precedence over profit, we can change the world. We could change capitalism for good. We might even save the planet." He then says, quote, "We have to take the first step." What? Haven't we gotten here? Or aren't we past the first step? Haven't we decided that that we're gonna take a step a long time ago? Huh? Mr. I'm always fighting for the environment, Mr. I'm 1% for the planet, Mr. B Corps, didn't we already decide that we were going to take the first step? I thought like this was like, I thought we were way ahead, way further down than the first step. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, they just keep saying the same shit. And also, like, who's we? Who's we that have to take the first step? Like, did he forget that he's the founder of a multi-billion-dollar company? Because I didn't forget that. I don't think you forgot that. I'm pretty sure we didn't forget that. But maybe he did. Like, in his old age, he's like getting like amnesia or like dementia. Like, or how about, let's take a look at Ryan Gellert's letter, who is the CEO of Patagonia, where he wrote this hilariously trite letter in which he states, quote, "Our existence seems counter to our purpose. That tension is not lost on us." Okay, so like, again, like, they're doing this ridiculous like performance of like, we're so self-aware, we're so humble, and then like the translation of this is like, ooh, yes, we know it's pretty harmful, we know we're pretty harmful as a company, we know capitalism is bad, but it hurts us too. It hurts us, it hurts our hearts, and we're praying for all the people that our company harms every day. We care. Like, the faux authenticity, the faux compassion, the faux transparency, it's just getting so fucking old. It's so old. Yvon Chouinard then even has the gall to write, quote, "After giving Patagonia away in 2022, I've been working harder than any 87-year-old should. The population of billionaires is climbing." What? You working hard? Sir, you are a billionaire. That's not, you don't work hard to become a billionaire. You extract from the employees that you've employed for less than a living wage, who are working hard for you to accrue wealth, to hoard that wealth. So I don't know, like, like, becoming a billionaire means that you didn't pay, and you're not paying your workers a living wage, that you're not paying your workers the amount of money they earned through their labor. Becoming a billionaire means that you have not returned to the earth the egregious amount of resource that you took from it. Like, Patagonia employees are not getting paid a living wage last time I checked. So in my research for taking down Yvon Chouinard, this is my favorite pastime, I went on to like search like any recent articles or any recent things that I could find that were written about Yvon Chouinard. And I found that there was a book written about him called Dirtbag Billionaire: How Yvon Chouinard Built Patagonia, Made a Fortune, and Gave It All Away, by David Gelles. I don't know. I've been listening to it as an audiobook, and so I've listened to the first few chapters, and it's already insufferable. In one section of the book, the author writes, quote, "Patagonia's own leaders know of the hypocrisy embedded in their work. The fact that they are contributing to the same problems they are trying to solve drives them mad, and it also pushes them to find solutions to seemingly intractable conundrums. Their failings are a source of both agony and inspiration, and they channel this frustration with their own imperfections into a drive for constant improvement. This self-critical corporation is a rare beast, but as we will hear, the company's contradictions and its efforts to wrestle with these competing priorities are central to its success." End quote. Okay, so like, this really reminds me of like when like during the height of the pandemic, and when the Black Lives Matter movement was calling out white people like no other time in history. It just sounds like when, as white women, we were like, we're listening. Yes, we're listening. It's like, yeah, we get it. Yeah, like we got to that point. We're past that point. We're past the point of listening. And it's like, in this way, it's like Patagonia is like, yes, we deeply understand the harm of capitalism. Like, yes, we deeply understand that we are contributing to the climate crisis. Yes, we're listening. Yes, we're researching. Yes, we're taking this seriously. It's like, what? We're past that. Like, and also like, give it up. Give up this shtick that you are environmentalists, like that you care about the environment, that you care about climate change, because no, you don't. Yvon Chouinard became a billionaire. He chose to do that. He chose to dedicate his entire life to extracting from the land and exploiting his workers, because that's the only way that you become a billionaire. So full stop, the end, story is over. We could just shut off the episode here, because that's the conclusion, is that Patagonia is not an environmentally friendly company. Like, y'all made a billionaire out of it, and that's not environmentally friendly. That's anti-environment. There's no such thing as a good billionaire. There's no such thing as an eco-billionaire.
Are we so jaded that we think a billionaire giving away their wealth is really that revolutionary? It should be the norm. I agree.
We agree.
I mean, agreed.
Wholeheartedly agreed.
Yeah, you're right.
We're all in agreement for this.
It's like Patagonia tries to just keep justifying itself by like, it's basically like saying, like, yeah, we hate capitalism too, but we're capitalists, and we, but we hate ourselves. What? Like, but we're trying, and we're not perfect. It's like, who's we? Like, you're a corporation. You're not a person. You're a corporation. You're a multi-billion-dollar company. But they're like, we want you to know that we know that we're harmful, and we care about that. Like, what? Okay. Like, we know that billionaires are bad. I know that I'm a bad person because I became a billionaire, and that makes me mad. And I want you to know that I feel bad. And I'm not a billionaire anymore, even though I spent my entire life dedicated to increasing my profits and only focusing on my bottom line, because that's ultimately how I became a billionaire. You can't become a billionaire if you don't focus on your profits. You can't be a billionaire if you care about the environment. And I know that that's really hypocritical. I want you to know that I know. I'm mad at myself. What? Like, okay, like this is transparency. This is like, you guys want like a big pat on the back? You want some gold stars? Like, it's just so fucking mind-numbing and insulting. It's like, you really think that your audience is gonna eat this up? Well, you're right. They are. They are eating this up. People are eating this up. It's wild. But not really, because this is benevolent patriarchy at its most evolved form. And this is a version, benevolent patriarchy is a version of toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is usually obscured by this excuse that he was a good guy. Like, oh, he did this really horrible thing, but he's a really good guy. Oh, he sexually assaulted that person. Oh, but he's a really good guy. It's like Yvon Chouinard is just another cis white dude who's lauded for his so-called activism and so-called environmental heroism, but he actually has built an incredibly extractive business based solely on profit, based solely on his own gain. This company gets talked up in the media. I mean, they have an ironclad advertising and marketing team. That's what they have going for them. That's why everybody eats this shit up. That's why I ate this shit up before I really started digging into this. Like, back in my 20s, like, I loved Patagonia. I was like, fuck yeah, let my people go surfing. Yeah, stick it to the man. Patagonia doesn't let their people go surfing, actually. Like, that's only for, like, the people that are in, like, the corporate office. Like, people who are working in retail, people who are in the factories, they're not going surfing. They don't have childcare. They don't have living wages. They can't afford their rent. Like, what? No. It's a big fat fucking propaganda lie. But it's really hard to find criticism about Patagonia, and that's on purpose. They create their own media, and they scrub. I mean, I can only imagine that they're like out there. There's a whole team that just scrubs the internet for like, and buries any criticism against this company, because it's really hard to find criticism about Patagonia until he started giving away, until he claimed that he was giving away his company to climate change. Like, until that point, it was really hard to find any kind of criticism about this company. And I mean, it still is to an extent, but Adam Conover did a really great episode where he goes in depth about Patagonia's greenwashing, hypocritical bullshit. So I highly recommend listening to that. But other than that, it's like really hard to find criticism against this company. And that's strategic. That is not an accident. They really want us to believe that Yvon Chouinard is down to earth, that Patagonia is this like really down to earth company, just like the founder Yvon Chouinard, and it's really humble and like really grassroots. Like, you think Patagonia, and a lot of people think grassroots, and that's wild because it's absolutely the opposite of grassroots. It is not grassroots at all. It's a big corporation. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Like, do I need to keep saying that? I just want us to really sit with that. And maybe some of you are aware of this by now, but I really want to give some airtime to the fact that Patagonia has been doing business with the military. So on Patagonia's Our History page on their website, if you scroll down, you scroll all the way down about midway, there's a heading that reads Lost Arrow Project, serving those who serve. And it says, quote, back in 1974, the Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center tried out some of our cannot fail ice axes. A few years later, the U.S. Special Operations Forces purchased our wicking base layers for their cold weather units. Orders for rigid crampons, ascenders, tricams, and snowshoes followed. By 2004, we finally caught on and formalized our government sales division. Then, in 2016, we organized this part of the business under the Lost Arrow Project, named after the Lost Arrow Spire, a detached spire in Yosemite Valley. We sold Lost Arrow Project to a former Patagonia colleague in 2022, and it was rebranded as Forge Line Solutions. This is absolutely disgusting. And isn't it wild how like Patagonia doesn't market that part of their brand? How like that kind of gets buried underneath all of their like environmental like branding. It's kind of weird. According to Forge Line Solutions, when you go to the Forge Line Solutions website, or if you Google Forge Line Solutions Patagonia, you'll find some like article or like press release on their website, or it's like on their about section, but I'll link to it in the show notes. So on Forge Line Solutions website, they write, beginning in the mid-70s, Patagonia consulted for the Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center, developing the instructor's manual for military mountaineering to enable the military man to be able to cope with high alpine environments. During the 80s and 90s, as Patagonia's clothing business grew, the Marine Corps and Special Operations Forces purchased base layers and fleece for their cold weather teams. So Patagonia grew their business off of military profit. Like, Yvon Chouinard became a billionaire because he was getting part of his wealth from the military industrial complex, is what we can glean from this. That's kind of like anti everything that they espouse, right? It's kind of weird. And then Forge Line Solutions goes on to write, quote, in the post 9/11 era, our mission deepened when USS OCOM approached Patagonia to help solve critical uniform deficiencies. By 2016, operating as Patagonia's Lost Arrow Project, we had successfully built a US-based supply chain capable of producing technical, high-performance gear once exclusive to offshore manufacturing. In 2022, a former Patagonia employee acquired the business, establishing it as Forge Line Solutions, a fully independent company dedicated to advancing elite military field wear. So when Patagonia has been asked about this, like, I think I had read something online that I don't remember what the source was now, but I read something about how Patagonia had posted something and then a bunch of people had like written in the comments, like, what about your relationship with the military? What about the Lost Arrow Project? And they ended up like deleting all of these comments and deleting like that post. And before they deleted it, they had responded to somebody saying like, well, we cut ties with that like in 2022. And it's like, 2022? That was only 3 years ago. So you're telling me that you've been making military gear and outfitting wars and coups and imperialism? You've been outfitting imperialism and ongoing colonization since the 80s? Like, their whole entire business is bullshit. That's what this means. Like, any of the bullshit that they've said about racial justice, about about environmentalism, this all goes out the window based on this fact alone. Not only like it's already rooted in hypocrisy and bullshit, because you can't have a billionaire and say you're an environmental company. And now there's endless proof. There's endless proof. I mean, this company doesn't give a fuck. Yvonne Chouinard doesn't give a fuck about the environment, does not give a fuck about human beings, does not give a fuck about Indigenous people or Black people. And this makes sense why we've never seen Patagonia talk about Palestine. We never saw them talk about Standing Rock. We never saw them talk about Hurricane Katrina. We aren't seeing them talk about Congo or Sudan. Patagonia only gets political when it's about things that directly impact the white men who are behind the company, that like run the company, who are like the major benefactors of the company, or we could say white people in general, because white women are benefiting from this company too. I mean, Patagonia has only ever gotten political when white people's rights and freedoms are being threatened. And we know that everybody's rights and freedoms are threatened under capitalism, under ongoing colonization, under imperialism and patriarchy. But in most recent years, we as white people have been feeling more scared because of the Trump administration and because of the more loud, in your face, can't ignore it atrocities that are happening, and being the genocides that are being live streamed on our social media apps, and the ICE raids, and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Like, this has us as white people and my fellow white women in a tizzy, because my God, for once, like, we might not be safe in these systems, when really, like, none of us have ever been safe, and these systems have always targeted Black people and Indigenous people. Like, Roe v. Wade was never even a thing that truly protected Black people, Black birthing people, because they've always been targeted by these systems. But now, as white people, we are feeling scared because of what's happening, because it's in our face, because we can no longer ignore it and pretend that it's not happening. And I think, like, probably the most politically, I think the first time that Patagonia got truly overtly political was when Bears Ears was being threatened by the first Trump administration. And then they put out an ad that was entirely appropriative, and it said, "The president is stealing your land." And it got lambasted by Indigenous educators and activists. And Greg Deal put out a edited version of the ad that basically said that this is Indigenous land. And Patagonia hasn't responded to that. Patagonia hasn't acknowledged that. Patagonia still to this day puts out propaganda that talks about, like, public lands being in your own backyard and how we need to protect our lands, and says it as like it's an our thing, and it's like in your backyard or your playgrounds. Patagonia loves to talk about our playgrounds, and these are all phrases that obscure the truth that we are on stolen land, and this land belongs to no one except Indigenous people, except the original stewards who have lived here for time immemorial. And Patagonia hasn't talked about that. Patagonia has not advocated for land back. It focuses most of its energy on public lands, public land advocacy, and conservation advocacy, which are not efforts that ultimately benefit Indigenous people, because those lands are still stolen. Those lands are still not in the hands of Indigenous people, and they should be. So let's go back to Patagonia being in bed with the military. So I want to clear up what USS OCOM means, because I had to look that up. So USS OCOM is who approached Patagonia in like post 9/11 era to help them with their uniforms. So the USS OCOM stands for the United States Special Operations Command. It is a unified combatant command that oversees special operations forces from the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps. The command is part of the Department of Defense. USS OCOM is headquartered at MacDill AFB in Tampa, Air Force Base in Tampa. So it's part of the Department of Defense. And it goes on to say, what does Special Operations Forces mean? Special Operations Forces are comprised of military service members who have been selected to receive special training and are assigned to special units. Examples include Army Rangers, Army Special Forces, known as Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Marine Special Operations, and Air Force Special Operations. Special Operations Forces service members are located at military installations and medical facilities throughout the country. This is truly terrifying. And so just to sum up, so basically Patagonia has been working with the military since the 70s. And then it was in the early 2000s, like by 2004, when they formalized their government sales division. And they had like a specific division dedicated to creating military uniforms. And then it was in 2016 when they called all of this formally the Lost Arrow Project. And it was Eric Neuron who led this subsidiary of Patagonia Works, which is like the big like overarching company name, which is like the big overarching corporation that runs all of Patagonia's like businesses. They have their like clothing line, they have their like meat stick line or whatever. They're like yeah. Anyways, you can go to Patagonia Works and learn more about that, and then it'll list out all their businesses. And I think 1% for the Planet is on that list. Like it's all their individual like projects, I guess, or offshoots. And then Lost Arrow Project is still listed on that list. They officially sold Lost Arrow Project to Eric Neuron, so to their former employee who was running Lost Arrow Project. Sold that project. They sold it to him, and then he rebranded it that same year in 2022 to what is now known as Forge Line Solution. And so if you go to Forge Line Solutions website, they still have Patagonia's name all over the website. And there's a promotional video on the website or on their like quote unquote origins page. And it's this like really well done, like glossy, well done, like incredibly like cinematic like video about the founder or about the owner, Eric Neuron, and how he talks about how he used to work at Patagonia and how he worked on the Lost Arrow business subsidiary at Patagonia like for over 15 years. And it's just so wild because when you watch the film, it's like a short little movie or whatever about their origin story. Like it kind of feels and looks like Patagonia's branding. Like it feels and looks like Patagonia made it. It's just so creepy. And I didn't look into this, but I wanted to find out like who was the videographer who made the film, because like I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same guy who does like marketing for Patagonia, or if like all of it's all connected. So, just, it's creepy. It's just so fucking scary, but none of this is that surprising actually, because this is just the hypocrisy of any cis white man led business, of any business led by a billionaire. It's just hilarious that they don't talk about this, right? Like Patagonia never advertises their support of the military. And I wonder, because like, aren't most of their customers like incredibly liberal, environmentally friendly, like don't want to support the military kind of people? Like wouldn't they stop buying Patagonia if they knew this? Probably not actually, because it's probably mostly neoliberal white people who really don't actually give a fuck about anyone else. But interesting that they still like to hide this fact, because the US military is a significant contributor to environmental degradation. It's one of the biggest polluters and contributors to the climate crisis. Democracy Now! Reported that, quote, the Cost of War Project estimates the military produced around 1.2 billion metric tons of carbon emissions between 2001 and 2017, with nearly a third coming from US wars overseas. And guess who outfitted those wars? Partly Patagonia. Like, what the fuck? So while Patagonia is investing all this time and money and energy in building up this eco-friendly brand, they're actually behind the scenes putting together tactical uniforms for cold weather climates and sweat-wicking base layers for the people who are terrorizing people of other countries, terrorizing people of the global majority, and also outfitting the people who are here in the so-called US, terrorizing people here, terrorizing Black and brown people here, terrorizing Indigenous people here. Did they give tactical uniforms to the military that showed up to Standing Rock? Is that why they didn't say anything to support water protectors? Isha Siddiqa was interviewed by Democracy Now!'s Amy Goodman, and Siddiqa said, quote, "The U.S. Department of Defense has a larger annual carbon footprint than most countries on Earth, and it also is the single largest polluter on Earth. Its military presence in my region has cost the United States over $8 trillion since 1976. It has contributed to the destruction of environment in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, the Greater Persian Gulf, and Pakistan. Not only has Western-induced wars led to spikes in carbon emissions, they have led to use of depleted uranium, and they have caused poisoning of air and water, and have led to birth defects, cancer, and suffering of thousands of people," end quote. Patagonia has been providing the military with support and consultation and gear since the 70s. This goes in direct opposition to everything that they've said about themselves, to everything that they said they've stood for. This is in direct opposition to everything that they say are their values and what they're committed to. This goes against any claim that they are trying to save the planet. If they were truly trying to save the planet, if Yvon Chouinard truly cared about the environment and Indigenous people and all people who inhabit this earth, he would not have agreed to work with the military. And he knows that. And that's why they've never promoted the fact that they've been in bed with the military this entire time. They would never promote that because that would mean that Patagonia has built their empire, that Yvon Chouinard built his wealth in part off of participating in the military-industrial complex and fueling and providing support for the military-industrial complex, which has fueled genocides across the globe and here still today in the so-called United States. So if there was any shadow of a doubt that Patagonia as a company and Yvon Chouinard as a human is toxic masculine, let this be me resting my case. Because this company is not environmentally friendly. I don't care that they're a B Corp. I don't care that they're donating 1% for the quote-unquote planet. Everything that I've talked about in this video contradicts all of that. That's all I've got for today. I wanted to get on here and share that. I've also written about this on terraincognitamedia.com, so you can go there and check out my article, No Good Billionaires. Yvon Chouinard uses philanthropy and the language of environmental justice to secure and maintain his hoarded wealth. And in that article, I also list a bunch of really great resources for you to go and do your own research. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What comes up for you? Did you know that Patagonia has been in bed with the military this whole time? Please let me know in the comments. You can also send me an email at heyterracollective@gmail.com. And please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Terra Incognita Media. Please subscribe to this channel if you're on YouTube. It really does help the channel and the platform to grow. I really want to reach more people with this free feminist killjoy content and education. And if you want to support us on a monetary level, we would greatly appreciate your support because every dollar counts. If you subscribe as a $5 a month subscriber, that we can keep churning out feminist killjoy propaganda and education for the masses, because I want to keep making this content. I want to keep sharing this education with people, and I want to keep researching different topics because there's endless things to talk about under the umbrella of toxic masculinity in the outdoor industry and feminism in the outdoor industry. If you have the means to support us monetarily, it would really mean so much. For just $5 a month, you can become a member. And with that, you get a free copy of our zine, of our digital zine, Fuck John Muir, and Edward Abbey, and Yvon Chouinard. Yes, that's the title. So you get immediate access to that digital zine that you can download when you become a $5 a month subscriber. And you also get access to our course, Healing Your Relationship with Land, Body, and Resource, and also our bonus course, which is called Grounded. It's Nervous System Healing 101. So yeah, if you go to the link in the show notes, or you go to terracollective.podia.com/terra-collective, you can sign up for the membership that way. I so much appreciate your support, whether it's just liking this video, sharing it, subscribing on the channel, following us on social media, donating $5. It all means so much to me. And this work is truly a labor of love, and it has been for the last 10 years. And I also want to keep doing it. And so I would really like to get to a point where we have enough subscribers where it is a sustainable thing for me to do full time. So please join us if you can at the $5 a month level membership. I am really excited to continue to grow the membership, and so we'll be adding more goodies to that membership as we grow. So if you want to get in now while the membership is at $5, that might change in the future to reflect all the things that we're going to put into it. But even if you can't join for $5, I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being in our community and supporting in other ways. I'm sending you all so much love. I'm sending you all of my killjoy rage and love. The anti-Yvonne Chouinard social club leader is signing off. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.